All right, now what do I do?
I've only seen that once.
White's 1900, black's 2150. And this says it was played in real life
Oh, good.
at a chess club.
Yay.
It's the Irving Chess Club, so I guess it's only for Jewish people because it's Irving. And then 1900, 2150. Our hero is white. I think. I'm not sure, actually. Yes, it is. And it was 30 minutes plus 10. So I assume that means increment. All right, and then the guy's white and so forth. All right. And so forth. The Vatican's good at chess because they have two bishops. Yeah, it's true. You guys think Honduras is better than the U.S.? I don't know about that. I know the U.S. isn't that good, but Honduras? All right. So it's a Caro-Kann, advanced variation. Knight d2 has been played a few times. The idea is to play knight b3 and make c5 less palatable. a5, confusing the audience. a4, right? These moves all look reasonable to me, so I'm mad. I expect nonsense when I'm doing game analysis, like the last game. Yeah, this seems like black's playing very passively. Yeah, that's a good move, because the pawn could get weak. Knight f5. Bishop d3 is okay. c4 would be explosive, so you could play that. b6 is very weakening. Now white should definitely play for c4 because this is all weak. It's like rook c1. Open it up here. Queen e1. That's like a move too late and a dollar short. It's like he wanted to win the a pawn, but black defended it in advance. Yeah. It was like when Lisa was at the boardwalk and the kids ditched her in advance. Yeah. My first friendship bracelet. There's a really funny line in that episode because Lisa never gets any funny lines. They're going to some summer vacation. And Lisa wants to change her look because she doesn't have any friends and she dresses real drab. So she pretends to pack her suitcase but doesn't put anything in it. So they're forced to buy her clothes and she wants to buy cool clothes. So Homer takes her suitcase and says, it's a little light because there's nothing in it. And Lisa says, I don't know, maybe you're just getting stronger. And then he goes, yeah, well, I have been eating more. And then he puts it in. Go, Homer. All right, bishop e7 is legal. Not really sure what this was all about. But all right. c4, good, good. Now black can play c5, confusing the audience. But he played king h8, confusing nobody. Bishop b1 is a little meek. All right. Rook e8. Everybody's playing the most passive move. King h1. Terrible. Knight f8. The knight's better here than it is on f8. Yeah, black should be playing c5 and then some. Queen e2. Bishop b4. Trading, some. I like the way the engine says king g1. Because king h1 didn't make any sense. So there was a game played in St. Louis. Was a Grunfeld at one of the norm tournaments. And in some normal looking position, white played king h1, which made no sense. Mm-hmm. And then later in the game, black had a passed a pawn, and the king on h1 couldn't stop it, but on g1 it could have, which is funny. So king h1 was played like on move 14, then he resigned on move 34 because he couldn't stop the a pawn. The next day I said, why did you play king h1? The move didn't make any sense at all. And he said, I wanted this variation to happen, and after knight takes d4 for black, he wanted to play some move, but then knight takes here was check. So he played king h1, so that didn't happen. And then, it was nonsense, because what he wanted to do was no good, but that's why he did it. So he actually had a reason. I couldn't figure out the reason, so he got me good. Okay, takes, making sure this rook is active. Not sure I would have done that. c5. that seems to just hang this pawn, and then black's up a pawn. It still says white's better. Man, harsh. Taking that pawn I don't understand, because then if my knight takes, I defend my a pawn. Now it says white's winning. Why would you do that? Why would you let the knight come in here and defend this, and it's great, and you could have just taken it? Boo, boo. All right. I mean, you were white, so yay. Be here. So now this is a tactical mistake, and now I'm sure black didn't see it because it's, not using an engine and cheating like everybody else. So this rook is defending the knight and the bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So black can get away with, let's see what he did. Okay, he played random legal move. He can play knight takes d4, confusing the audience. So you have to take the knight, otherwise that's a good move.
Mm-hmm.
Now the rook is overworked, so you play bishop takes b1. Then if he takes the bishop, you take the knight, and you've won a pawn. And if he doesn't take the bishop, you move your bishop away. So that's that.
Mm-hmm.
So black's better according to the engine because black's up a pawn. It's funny how this overworked. Like everything's on everything. It's hard to understand.
Nice.
Okay, so you played rook d8, rook g1, allowing the same deviled egg. The same knight takes d4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Knight d7. The reason he played rook d8. G4. Yeah, that's a good move. Now forcing the move that wins. But he probably didn't play it. So, yeah. And now white's winning. Because black's too suffocated and white can mate him. When you can take things, you have to analyze that, both of you. So when you attack a knight and the knight can take something, you're like, oh, that's not good. Yeah. So I mean, I guess like practice your golf swing or your tennis stroke. I don't know. Probably tennis, because a lot of the best players are retiring now. So this would be a good time to get into tennis, right? The women have no good players, and the men who are good are like 100. So in like 3 years, there won't be any good tennis players, men or women. That's pretty good. Yeah. It's amazing after Serena Williams, there's been 0 good women tennis players. So she's 570 years old, and she's ranked like number 4 at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, 17, 16, 18-year-olds won majors for the women, and they retired when they were 28. Now, none of the kids are good, and Serena beats everybody. I can prove it, too. If you look at the top 10 players in the world who aren't Serena, you haven't heard of them. You're like, who's that? Number 1? What? The number 1 player, their name, the women, their name rhymes with farty party. You know who it is?
No.
Barty.
Oh.
Is she your favorite player?
I don't follow it at
Right.
all.
But you don't follow tennis, but you heard of Serena Williams.
Yeah.
You heard of Martina Navratilova.
Yeah.
You heard of Chris Evert. You heard of Billie Jean King.
Yeah.
By not following it, you still hear of them, but not now. Now you only hear of them because they refuse to talk to the press and there's a big story, not because they're good. Right? You were like, what happened? Is she playing? Right? Because she's like, making a stink.
Yeah, I know about all that.
Yeah, but you don't know them because they're playing tennis. Terrible.
I knew her before that.
Right, and the men are worse.
I know the big ones.
There's been 3 good men for the last 12 years. What about the other men? What happens when the big 3 retire? Is Andy Murray going to be good again? No, he never was good. No, terrible. Man, the British people are furious.
Yeah.
Andy Murray's their hero. Luckily, they're asleep, so they don't even know what's going on. Yeah. No. Andy Murray, like, suspicious player, suspicious attitude, and in Britain, he's the most popular person who ever lived. They're like, Andy Murray, go Andy Murray. Terrible. Yeah. I wonder what's going to happen when all the good tennis players retire in the next 3 years.
Bring back Pete Sampras.
Yeah, Sampras was good. But if Nadal, pay attention. If Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer aren't playing anymore, are you watching tennis? The answer is no. No reason to watch. Ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't watch it regardless.
Agassi. Yeah. Are these real people? Tennis is a fake dumb sport. God damn. Yeah, harsh. Andy Rooney. Yeah, that guy must be old.
Yeah.
Says nobody watches tennis anyway.
Right.
Man, harsh. Man, that guy said Tsitsipas is good, and Karen said, say, what? That's all she was thinking.
I mean, I barely know
Yeah.
any tennis people.
Yeah. Now, one of the top 5 guys today lost to an American. I think it was Tsitsipas. He lost to like an American who's like number 60. I think it was him. I think he lost in the first round. Man. Truth hurts. There are many others, and you can name them all. Yeah, the guy who made it to the final of the French Open, who they think is the greatest, he lost in the first round, not known American. But today. Well, that's how good he is. Yeah. Terrible. All right. Probably that's what like the ATP, or not the ATP, the whatever the international one is. Like I'm drawing a blank. They're like, what do we do when those guys retire? We just give up? Nobody's going to watch tennis anymore. Terrible. In straight sets, yeah, that's the best we got. The guy who they said was the best after those 3 guys were retiring, he lost in straight sets to unknown guy today. Come on, maybe McEnroe will come back. I asked McEnroe, are you going to come back and play again? He said, he only says one thing.
I don't know what he's.
He only says one thing.
I don't know what
You can't be serious. Come on, that's all he says. All right, 97, always retreat. G5. God damn. This guy's not kidding.
I don't know about the guy.
What? That's all he ever said was you can't be serious. Yeah, Billie Jean King may
How
start
would
playing.
I know?
Yeah.
How would I know that?
Take on H6. So taking here is good because it takes a knight,
Right.
but he took a pawn. That's not as good. Yeah, now Black's winning with knight e4, and Black's up a piece. And he did something else, hanging this piece, and then he resigned. Yeah, just take here, and that's it. QED. Well, take this, king here, nothing. See, the thing is, White has plenty of nothing, but Black thought it was plenty for him. He's got no attack. He's got no bishops. He's got no misery. Yeah. Now, obviously, White has a big attack here, but the engine says Black is fine. If the guy's going to checkmate you, you might as well be a piece up. That's the Yasser way of thinking. After here, you get checkmated and you're not a piece up. That's not good. So Karen's going to tell you something funny, right? This move defends, right? Gets the knight to a good square, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, what's the valuation?
I can barely see it. 8 or 9.
Yeah, White's up +9.
Plus 9 point.
Maybe he's German. Right. And after here, Black's better. Yeah, harsh. Yeah, giving a knight away for nothing. Yeah, check. Oh! Okay, so this pawn was actually the best defender for Black. Black plays here, and White's rook does Vishwa nothing. It's hard to get in there.
Oh, I see.
Now it's easy to get in there because queen goes to here, and the rook's on the open G file. Always sack the exchange. So now it's +19. Takes his piece back. Queen D3. Probably that was a mouse slip, even though it was played over the board. Because Queen D2 makes more sense. Right?
Yeah.
Queen D3 wins, but barely. Knight F5 is good. Knight G5 is good. Rook D7 hangs immediate checkmate. Man, it's a really nice mate, too. Okay, so instead of hanging mate, he could have resigned. So White wanted to play here, which wins.
Yeah.
So he attacked the queen and threatened here. And then Black can play Queen F8 and defend, still losing. Instead, White could have played a mate that's so purdy, it's purdier than your mouth. That's how purdy it is. And you got a purdy mouth.
Okay.
Queen H3.
Yeah.
Okay, and where you want the king to go. Exactly. If you go here, this is double, triple discovered checkmate. That's checkmate. And if you go here, it's also checkmate, except the knight can block. So like here, checkmate, and here, checkmate. And then the engine gives this. I'm sorry, it says it gives this. And then checkmate again. But instead of checkmating with just checking him, he played knight e4. Rawr! And black found queen f8. The game continues with black completely losing, but you know. Now he has mate and 8 with rook g8. Now, did anybody see the game today and or yesterday? I forgot if it was today or yesterday. It was Firouzja versus Aronian. And the game ended with Aronian playing queen g1 check with black, and then rook to the back rank, and then always play bishop f1 and so forth. That reminds me of this move winning. And the reason I don't know if you played that. You did. Because now you don't take the queen. Right? You play the Zwischenzug, queen h3, confusing the Germans. They're like, what did he say? Right? Oh, no good. Yeah, this is better. Yeah, that's forced mate. And it's obviously better because queen here hangs mate, knight here hangs, no good. And after here, we don't take the queen, we play rook g1. Now you're talking. Now, and only now, can we have the exchange of sex for discounts.
I forget what that's from.
Seinfeld. Yeah, what happened was they thought Elaine's boyfriend was using her by sleeping with her and then saying he's going to give her discounts at the clothing store, but he never did. The clothes never came in. And then Kramer said, "No, I think you're using him." And and then he said, "The only way you'll ever have a good relationship is if you have the exchange for sex for discounts all out in the open, and then everybody's happy." Anyway, so he had like a thing, like a ponytail of the guy. Not a man bun like Nepo, but like a little.
I kind of vaguely remember.
Okay, and then he got a call, and he was asleep, and she answered it, and it was the store telling me he doesn't come to work, and she says the Nicole Millers, and he says we have plenty of Nicole Millers. He was like, we don't have any, we're ordering them, it's on ship, and then she cut off his hair, and then left while he was asleep. Yeah, can you go to jail for that?
I was wondering about that.
What's that?
Seems like you can get in trouble.
Yeah, I wonder if you can go to jail. Cutting off somebody's hair while they're asleep.
I would think so.
I mean, he didn't give her the Nicole Millers, so I don't know. Yeah, Nicole Miller, right. Yeah. Again, Mador covered the Nicole Miller. Yeah. Okay, so instead, white played knight takes. And now the game is anew once again. Like white's winning, but, not as winning. Put it in H. Okay, that's just like a beginner's blunder. Knight takes h4. Yeah, you got to play king e7 and get your king out of there. And then get your rook over here. And then this. You can't go here because that unleashes the latent potential of the queen. So frankly, that's ridiculous. So this is a threat. This is a threat. If you play knight g6, I always sack the exchange. If you can call that an exchange sack, which I wouldn't. Because you can take this rook or this rook. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the mem shows. All right, so black realized what he'd done, but this is such a ridiculous move. And then you have to resign. All right, check. There, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Queen takes e6 check. Terrible. What's funny is it wins, but it's just terrible. All right, that's a very ridiculous way to win. Rook h7. Terrible. Yeah, he's still winning because he gets to win the rook. Then he has to stop all these pawns. Now it's too exciting. So this loses. Now black's winning. Now queen takes e6. If my student did that, I would stop teaching forever, which I did. Trying to figure out how white wins here. It says white's winning. This move loses, taking here. Mm-hmm. Then black's winning. All right, check. Yeah, how is white winning here? What are they talking about? Why aren't they going here? They're playing here. Why would I do that? Ah. So if the pawns are here, we can push them. And then, but if you take this, you just lose all your pawns, right?
Okay.
And if you play c3, you don't have a passed b pawn. Like this pawn's not passed.
Right.
So I run my king up, like that game I told you about where the guy played king here, then he couldn't get back.
Oh.
Now we get back. We keep running our king. And if you play c2, we're just in time. It's like the manufacturing just in time. Yeah. And we win. So white was winning with his insane queen sack, where he should be banned from my stream. But instead he played the losing line. I think he still won. Okay, and now c3 wins. No! Boo! Yeah, as long as white's king stays here, we're good. If white's king is here, then black resigns. Yeah, c3 threatening c2. Play c2, I'm going to win. Well, that's it. What you can do? Now black's going to make a queen. Frankly, terrible. But he played king c6, so now white has time to win again by moving his king over. Okay, that's losing again. You got to move your king over. You got to get your king there. See, this isn't a threat because I can just check and take it. So you got to move your king. Yeah, king g2 plus 55. Okay, so this is a blunder. Now black's winning again. King g1, b3 wins. Man, black did everything he could except push his passed pawns. He never pushed his passed pawns. Yeah, b3 is winning, and then we just keep pushing. And the pawns just run in. This king's not helping. All right, king f1. Now white's winning again. Now the pawns can't queen. Oh, he pushed one of his pawns. That's pretty impressive. I didn't think he would. Yeah, and this is just shallow and pedantic now. And then he resigned. So if I do analysis like a game report, they both played less than 0. Yeah. So this is something I tell when I used to teach, I had this conversation a lot. And nobody ever listened to anything. That's why I quit teaching.
That's a pretty big raid.
Oh, thanks, Janiston TV, or
Yay.
Janiston, or Yaniston.
Yay, thank you for
I wonder if
the
that's my
raid.
friend Giannis. Yeah, 0 mistakes,
Yay, thank
zero
you.
good moves. Thanks for the raid. Hooray.
Yay.
Yeah, good game except for one thing from Spencer. All right, now. Yeah. All right, now let me explain something to you. This is, when I used to teach chess, none of my students ever listened to me ever anything I said. Karen will say, that's not what happened. No, that's what happened. Okay, now, every student I ever taught, I would tell them the same thing about these kinds of moves. I'd say, if you're winning and you sacrifice material in the end game for no reason, don't do that. And then when they did it anyway, I say, why'd you do that? And they said, because it's winning. Now, let me explain that logic to you. Have a seat, because you're going to use all the power of your brain now. Imagine you were up a queen, a rook, a bishop, and a knight, and your opponent only had a king. You got that? Okay, it's never happened to you, but it might if you get better. Then you give away your queen for no reason, and the guy takes it. And I say, why did you make that move? And they say, because it wins. It does win. Every move wins. Your move just wins less. You were up a lot of pieces, now you're up less. But everybody does that. And I can't stop them. And I tell them, don't do it. Now, my famous example, one of the persons who donates on my stream a lot, who used to be my private student, he had an ending very similar to this. He had a queen and 4 pawns versus a rook and 4 pawns. There's nothing going on. He's just up a queen. So instead of resigning, since it's in Michigan, they just kept playing. And then for no reason, he gave up the queen for the rook to get a winning king and pawn ending that was drawn, and the game ended in a draw. after I told him don't ever do that, then he did it anyway. And so to mock him as much as possible, when I'm looking at the game and I see him sack his queen for the rook, I say, oh, you didn't see king takes queen. Because that's reasonable. If you play queen takes rook, thinking you're winning the rook, and don't see king takes queen, that's acceptable. But if you see king takes queen, it's not acceptable to give your queen away. Ridiculous. Frosty Balrog subscribed.
Yay. Hey, Frosty Balrog.
Yeah. So this is an absolutely ridiculous move. And if you say, well, it wins. Okay, every legal move wins, except maybe that. You found like the worst move on the board where maybe you're still winning. Maybe. If you don't play that, it's 1,000,000,000% you're winning. So playing that is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous move. Any other move is like +8, +9, +7. And then here you're like +1. And then you're losing like 5 moves later. Yeah, now you're losing. And then you win anyway because, again, you got to take up golf. Now, some people aren't good at golf. So what they do is they learn from Donald Trump, right? They cheat. They just cheat. They write some score that didn't happen. So you got to do that. Terrible. Go Frosty Balrog. Yeah, Mulligan. That's right. Yeah. Queen takes e6. I mean, it's not even a joke. It was a slow game. Ugh. Now here's why I get mad. Not because they do that.
Yeah.
Here's why I get mad. He's going to do it again. He's like, no, what I did won, that was fine. He's going to do it again. He doesn't care. He literally doesn't care if it's not right because he thinks it's right.
No, it's just confusing.
Like, let's see, I could give my queen away or I could not give my queen away. I think I'll give it away. Teacher, don't give your queen away. Next game, gives his queen away. He's like, oh, you said don't give it. Oh, I don't remember that. Yeah, they all do it too. They all try to sacrifice and win instead of just win. If your position is worse, which is pretty common, then you sack a rook and then you're completely winning. And if you don't sack a rook, then you're lost. Then sacking the rook, the engine would say is correct. It's the only good move. You guys give material away when every legal move wins, but you want to sacrifice anyway and make it difficult. That's what you do. And I tell you not to do it, then you do it anyway. That's what happens. Spencer will back me up because I'm sure it's happened to him. Student knows not to do it, but they want to do it, so they do it anyway. And then they lose.
Do you think that any time that they're just confused?
No. They're like, Ben said, don't do this, but I like this. They don't care. But I like this. That move loses by force. Yeah, but I like it. They literally... See, now, you can do that if you don't get chess lessons. We'll give you an example. There are people who the only thing they do is play blitz chess outside, right? Like at these parks, outside the St. Louis club, etc. They're playing chess. There's no book learning. There's no I want to learn this and get better. They just play blitz chess 12 hours a day. You have your book learning and you got your Yale law degree, but you don't have any street smarts. So when you play them blitz chess, you know theory and they don't. You know endgame theory and they don't. You know what weak pawns are and they don't. And they beat you every single game because they play good tactically and you don't, right? And so if you're that kind of person, the person who loses every time but is trying to learn, right? Or trying not to learn in certain cases. And then your coach says, don't do this, and you go, like Bill Murray. And then you do it anyway because, yeah, but I wanted to do that. If you want to sit outside all day and play blitz chess, fine. But if you're going to get chess lessons to improve your game, the coach tells you how to improve, and you're like, I'm not doing that. Don't get chess lessons anymore. Just lose the way you've been losing. It's cheaper. And then your coach doesn't get mad at you. And I've never said anything to any student and they listened. It's never happened. I tell them and they go, and then they don't care. They just want to do what they want to do. They don't care. They literally don't care.